To all the fellas and fart smellas, we are approaching 100 subscribers, infinitely close. We're at like 97 right now. So when I reach 10K subs, I'm going to be going back to school for a literature degree. When I get to 100 subs, I'm gonna do something. I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. Maybe get a little cake. Maybe I know that's like a birthday thing. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but we'll do something. We'll do something. Okay, I've got like 2 hours before I go to work. This will probably post on. I don't know when it'll go up. I don't know how long this video is gonna be, but we're just gonna wing it so far. This is our pre-reading for the Fairy Queen. So I'm basically just gonna go to Wikipedia, look at a bunch of stuff, and I will be getting back to you guys on whatever I've learned and whatever I'm gonna look for while listening to the Fairy Queen. Okay, I'm back. I've done some of the research, and okay, here's the general gist of what I've gotten about it. So, this is written by Edmund Spenser. It was released in the late 1500s, so that's where we are roughly in the time period. I thought we'd be a little further along. I know we've got John Milton later in the Renaissance period, so that's gonna bring us up to the 16th, or I guess you'd call it the 17th century. Okay. And Edmund Spenser originally wrote this as either, I couldn't tell if it was either criticism of Queen Elizabeth I or if it was praise of Queen Elizabeth I. I just went off of Wikipedia, guys. I'm not doing like an extreme deep dive. I want to get just the general idea of the Fairy Queen. Edmund Spenser wrote what was originally going to be 12 entire books of this type of epic poetry, but it ended up just being 6 books, and each one of the books is after a different heavenly virtue. He wanted to do all of the heavenly virtues, but he just ended up doing the first 6. So, oh gosh, I should go back and look at what the virtues he does are, so that way when I am listening to it, I can understand, oh, this is how this virtue is playing into the story, and I can accurately say that so I can accurately place the virtue in the mental space to know what it's about. And I think this is why this is gonna be so helpful, guys, because like now I know what I'm looking for when I'm listening to this. There was something about Edmund Spenser himself getting a €50 pension from Queen Elizabeth I. I don't know if that is. I really wanted to translate that into some type of modern currency so we could understand what he could get from that. The most I got was that maybe he was able to purchase, like, because I went to a pricing list on a separate website, and it said a warhorse was worth €80, but I think that was much later. I think that was much later, probably in like 1600. So by that time, inflation probably, just occurred, and then they get more resources to make more pen. Oh, Arthur is back. King Arthur is back. He plays. I think his role in this is going to be pretty restricted, obviously restricted compared to Le Morte d'Arthur, the story about Arthur. But that'll be something I'm excited for, because there's a lot more knights, there's a lot more monsters, so that's really cool. I've already listened to like the first hour. I've seen, I think it's a fight with air, or they end up talking about air. That was really good. For some reason, like listening to just the first hour of this, it was able to keep my attention a lot better than some of the other things that I've listened to. Like, my mind tends to wander for only just a little bit before getting sucked right back into the next stanza. Speaking of which, that's a great segue to talk about the stanza structure of Edmund Spenser's The Fairy Queen and the origin of the Spenserian stanza, guys. Oh my gosh. This is crazy. Okay, so, you know how when you're in school, right, you do a poetry, right? For example, let me just say, like, a very quick poem. Roses are red, violets are blue. Uh, something, something, something. I love you, right? So that would be a traditional A B C B stanza structure, because the first line, because the second line rhymes with the final line, the blue and the I love you, and then you have the A and the C. Those don't have to rhyme. So that would be classified as an A, B, C, B poem structure. Now wait till you get a look at the that would be not a poem structure, that would be a stanza structure, sorry. Wait till you see what the stanza structure is for the Fairy Queen, okay? And I also find it fascinating. It is, instead of 4 lines like the one we just said, it is 9 total lines, and it goes A B A B B C B C C. Let me say that again. It goes A B A B B C B C C. Wow. I don't even know how you write something like that, but I find it very interesting, right? Because the first part of it here, I wrote it down and I broke it down for you. So we have A B A B B C B C C. So the first part here, that's a very actually standard poetic structure. You I don't think it's a couplet. I'm forgetting what my I learned a bunch of poetry terms when I was in school, and I've forgotten them since. I remember what enjambment means. Enjambment is when, actually, enjambment is used a lot in epic poetry because the end of every line is not necessarily the end of every sentence. That's something a lot of people, I'm pretty sure, that try to write epic poetry might end up worrying about, is that a line is just when your iambic pentameter. I should probably say what iambic pentameter is so that you guys know. But the line of a poem ends when you reach your syllable structure or the end of that. So for iambic pentameter, that's a fancy way of saying you have 10 syllables per line, right? And a syllable is just what one chunk of a word sounds like that has a vowel in it, right? So if I say make, that's 1 syllable. If I say I'm gonna draw a doodle, that's 2 syllables because you have doodle. Basically, any point where there's either like a vowel or a phonetic, like it sounds like a vowel when you're speaking it, that counts as a syllable. So when you reach 10 of those in an epic poem with iambic pentameter, that's when you go to your next line. So your sentence might be longer than 10 syllables. That's fine. It's only your lines that have to rhyme, not your sentences. And you're balancing all of that. And when you move on to the next line without finishing your sentence, that's called an enjambment. And it's not good or bad. It's just a poem can either have a lot of or not a lot of enjambment to it. It's pretty simple, actually. Okay, let me get into why I think the Spenserian stanza is now so cool on a structure level and so interesting. I guess I don't really have to pause the video. So, I think it's really cool because the AB on the first part is, again, it's really standard, right? You could have an elementary schooler. I remember when I was in elementary school, I think I wrote a poem like similar to that. I'm sure it wasn't very good. Probably, it's probably... I probably went like, let me think of a poem real quick. It was probably just like, I have a cat, I don't have a dog, it sits on the mat by the bog. Like, it's just like that. It's super simple, But then at the very end, you have CC. So that's similar to like a couplet that you would have at the end of a sonnet. So I think that's really interesting that in this single, and you have the BCB in between, obviously, and that's sort of a transitionary thing, because you have all your A's in the beginning, you have all your C's at the end. And so, like, in the middle of the stanza, you're kind of switching from one rhyme to another. and so I think that can like it really helps the flow of the entire piece of the Fairy Queen with what I've listened to. So I wanted to listen to a little bit of it just to get the flow of it down, just to get the language down, and it all flows very nicely. And I think that's kind of what's helped me focus on it a bit more. Also, I've slowed down the speed at which I'm listening to these at. With some of the more simple ones, I could go like up to 1.4 speed. This one I kind of brought it back down and I kept it at just 1x speed. So for a 33-hour piece, that is the Fairy Queen, but mind you, it is basically 6 books in one. So if you do the math on that, that's 5.5 hours per book. That's not bad. That's not bad. So yeah, I find the Spencerian structure so intriguing, and probably difficult to do. I imagine this was a very difficult piece to write. Okay, so I have what all the books sort of stand for in the Fairy Queen now. So we have Holiness, that is the Red Cross. So book 1 is covering the ground of holiness, and it kind of says that through the Red Cross Knight. Book 2 is Temperance, and that's through Sir Guyon. It's Guyon, so Guyon sounds good. So that's through Sir Guyon. Book 3 is through Chastity from Britomart, and it says book 4 just continues book 3, but it also says book 4 is about it is about Britomart and his friendship with someone in the Campbell family, Cambell, not like Campbell soup. So I find that very interesting because I'm wondering if his friend is actually doing his own virtue, but it's also still about Britomart. That's my current running theory because book 4 is the only weird one like that. So that's where my thought is kind of at right now. So that's something I'll be looking for when I listen to it. I'll get back to you guys on that when I finish the book. And then book 5 is about Justice through Sir Artegall, and book 6 is about Courtesy through Sir Calidor. You know, so there's a bunch of like heavenly virtues, and then the heavenly virtues directly oppose the deadly sins, right? And of just some numbers stuff here. There's 7 deadly sins. There's, I guess, if you plan to do 12 books, would mean there's 12 heavenly virtues, and you can see kind of some of it here. There's because I think like chastity is opposed to lust. I think temperance is the one opposed to wrath. And I think I don't know what justice is opposed to. Maybe greed? I don't know. Holiness is just against, I think, the deadly sin of hardening the heart towards God. But I don't know. But it would be really cool if there was a version of this that got up to 7 books, and they were all the 7 heavenly virtues opposed to the 7 deadly sins. Or what if you did a book, an epic poem that was 14 books? Granted, you'd have to make them all shorter because that would just get really long at that point. But you did them like back to back. Like you could have one character do a like fall into lust and then come to like chastity. That could be really cool. I haven't watched the 7 Deadly Sins anime, but that's something it also makes me think about. And I don't know if, like, sometimes I think, oh, I'm describing something. What if that it just exists? But then, okay, every time I hear someone describe something that ends up just actually existing as a successful intellectual property, dog, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. You are on the same wavelength as someone else was, because they had a great idea, and it ended up working out perfect for them, okay? So if you just keep on having more great ideas, eventually you'll have one that they haven't had, and then that's yours. That's yours right there, you know. So if that already exists, I just have the brain power equivalent of idea crafting of that person. Doesn't mean much, but hey, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Okay, I think that's it for this video. I think I've got kind of all the general info that I wanted to get down. So yeah, I'm gonna go probably make some rice, some scrambled eggs. Yeah. So it'll be a while before I actually release the Fairy Queen review, just because it is such a long book. In the meantime, we're probably going to hit 100 subscribers, so I'll make a video for that. I also have a bunch of other video ideas on my saved on my phone in a list, so we can go through that. It's more literature stuff though. It's not like my miscellaneous videos I have. I think I should have a miscellaneous video, like a silly miscellaneous video category, and then a miscellaneous literature category. They're all more lessons though, and not that I have any authority to give lessons. More so just things I want to talk about, things I've been noticing, and after some research, some things I think I can speak with a little bit of authority on. Yeah, just a little bit. Everything I say, no, I could be far left, far right, swinging a miss. All right. Anything I say on here, I could be dead wrong. Okay, I could be in the ground, dead, 6 feet under, coffin up, tombstone. He was wrong. I could be. All right, it could be, but I don't think I am. So I'm gonna yap to you. All right, that's what the deal is. Yeah. Well, so we'll do a video on that. Probably reach 100 subs. I like how I'm planning to do that. I don't know. My one video is doing really good. You guys are helping me out a lot. Dude, we've got like plus 14 subscribers in the span of 2 days. All right. I want to keep the train going. All right. If you made it this far, click the sub button, because you're going to, I'll be shouting you out when I see your name on the subscriber list. If you want a shout out, I guess. I don't know. I eat rice. Alright guys, peace out. Comment down below what I should do for the 100k, not for the 100k, for the 100 subscriber video, because I have no clue what I'm doing still. I don't know if I'm going to get a cake to celebrate. I don't know if I'm going to go a day without eating and just eat heads of lettuce until I'm full. I don't know what I'm going to do, but we'll see. Alright, peace out.